Okay, camera is Johnny. Okay.
Yep.
Speed.
We're good. So first of all, just talk about why this flurry of activity now. How have the planets lined up to make you want to do the book? Have this great album out now with the new songs. What's going on at this point in your life?
What's going on at this point? Well, I would start by saying, can we just do that again? Can you ask the question again?
Sure.
Let's pause for a second. And rolling.
So why now all this wonderful stuff happening for you? All this new activity?
Well, after you sleep in a hole for a long time, you know, I mean, I've been sort of not fully in the business for the last, I'd say, 20 years. I mean, partially, kind of with a fingernail still hanging in there. And but I've been recording and still touring, you know, and doing a lot of private dates. And I mean, that's what you do when you have kids and your kids are in school and they need your home. And so, I mean, I've been doing that for a while. And why the book? Ordinary Girl kind of emerged out of a lot of requests for me to do a book, and then I didn't really want to do a book in the beginning, and I thought I was too young. And, you know, I just thought, well, I'll do that when I'm 80, you know. But I thought that at some point, you know, maybe I have something to offer as a contemporary person who has lived a real life and has overcome many obstacles and I've persevered. And I think that there are probably millions of people in this country and around the world who have had obstacles in their lives that they feel thwarted by. And for me, Ordinary Girl is a kind of a living manual. It's meant to be a mirror, so that you look in the book and you see yourself and maybe a situation that's similar, and you go, you know what? I can rise up from here, and I can fly. I can do this. And I mean, it's meant to be kind of an encouraging book to other people. Not so much even about, it's not, to me, it's not even so much about me as much as it's about the audience or the reader.
But that being said, it is about you. And how easy, how difficult was it for you to put the stuff out on the page? What was the process like?
It was very difficult to put the things on the page, and I suffered a lot to try to do that. And I was telling someone else recently that I had, you know, when you hear writers talk about, oh, it was so terrible, and oh my God, it's really a very painful process, writing. It's not easy. I mean, I'm sure that there are people that it comes easy for, but when you have to look at an overview of your own life, I think writing fiction would have been easier for me. But writing about your own life and pieces of yourself and very difficult experiences within the framework of your life, and having them compounded in a small period of time is pretty difficult, you know. So I think that it's nothing that I would rush to do right away, you know. Of course, this was a gazillion seller, you know, I might be, you know, convinced, but it would be a fiction book the next time.
But talk about, besides all the troubling stuff, the stuff that, although encouraging, there's also a lot of joy and a lot of
Oh yeah, absolutely, funny stuff too.
Yeah. So how amazing was it for you to kind of revisit some of that stuff, and then with the CD also look back at the music and all the special things?
Well, I mean, I think when you look at the CD, the journey, and you know the book all together as sort of a unified force, I think it was, you know, I think it fits well. The whole package fits well, and I think that a lot of the things that went on that are funny. I mean, obviously, I remember, you know, Last Dance and, you know, Paul Jabara trapping me in a bathroom and all the things that go, you know, there are funny things that happen in my life that you know, every time we think about them, we fall out laughing. So, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, it's all of the above.
Pause for a second.
Yes, please. I do.
Speed.
And everyone else.
Everyone else.
And rolling.
Looking back now at when your music career first started, how much of that?
Excuse me, one second. I'm having an ear tickle.
Uh-oh.
That you stick that hair in my ear. It's like tickling me. Okay, go on. Let's do it. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
Talk about the drive that got you where you are to begin with, that got you to Germany, that got you to meet Georgia. What was it about yourself that made those things initially click to put you in the business?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've read any of the book. I think part of it was when I was a little kid, and you know what it says in the book. I don't want to tell everything that's in the book, so, but you know, there were things that happened along the road of my life that pointed me in a direction of music, and I did like to sing. I loved to sing. It was sort of the only redeeming quality to me that I had, since I felt, you know, I had pretty low self-esteem as a kid. Singing was a place that got attention, and it made people happy, and and it just seemed to be a conduit to other people, and I like people, so it wasn't a hard thing to discern, where I should go or where I was headed, and when the opportunities came my way, I just took them.
Mm-hmm. When things started clicking for you as a pop star,
Mm-hmm.
how much of that was expected? How much of that was something you always, at least the last few years, at that point knew was going to happen, or was that something, wow, this is something I never dreamed of? It's another level.
Well, I think every child has dreams. I mean, I think the pop star bit of it for me wasn't so much the part that I dreamt about. I didn't dream about fame that way. I dreamt about singing. Whenever I dreamt about fame, it was being on stage. That was fame to me. It wasn't the accolades and all the people screaming "I love you" or any of that stuff. That didn't enter into my concept. So when that part came into it, it threw me for a loop because I really didn't know how to deal with that. And for me, it was more a personal thing, and it was more inward to outward than outward to inward.
Talk about the exciting times, and you hit it big.
Yeah.
You're saddled with the sexy image and the Queen of Disco image and all that. But how much of that did you embrace? How much of that for a period was really special? Was a great time?
Well, I think there is that aspect of it that I'm a woman, so obviously it's something once it becomes sort of thrust upon you, you take it on and you act it out. I was an actress, so that part wasn't difficult. I knew what the role was. I had to play it. I just think that it sort of fit the moment, and it fit the record, and in that moment, and with that record, it was easy. But as my musical career moved on, it became more and more difficult to put on that person, because I just felt that it was like wearing an evening gown that was too tight. Everything was popping out, and I needed more space.
You went on over the next couple of years to create just the most incredible music. How conscious were you at the time that this was at the forefront of everything? Did you feel that this was kind of a new sound, and these are great songs? You knew you were doing something special when you were doing it.
I was not. Growing up, I loved R&B music, but my voice was always really kind of pure, and it was, kind of a hassle almost at times, because I wanted to have more of that, like R&B sound, but it just wasn't my sound. And so when we started making music with the synthesizers, it seemed that my voice fit that feeling, and I felt at home in that kind of synthesized space, and it worked for me. And so I did feel that because synthesizers at that time were so new, and people weren't using them in music at that point to that extent, I felt that we were definitely doing something kind of on the cutting edge at that time.
How often have you thought about that over the course of your career? As these things come in and out of style, there's always kind of a fondness for that type of music. Are there certain years when people it seems that people want to hear more of you, then it kind of wanes, but they'll go back, oh, that was cool.
Well, I think that, a lot of times with DJs and people like that, because they realize what it was, and, they kind of, especially people from that era or just after that era, they recognize what the input was that Giorgio and Pete and myself and Harold Faltermeyer and that kind of group of us had at that. And I think that I was less aware of it at the time. I mean, I was aware that it was happening, but I was so caught up in doing what had to be done that I really, didn't get caught up in anything but producing the music, and not so much in people's opinion of it. But I think now, in looking back, in retrospect, I feel that I see the door that we opened,
What was it like for Donna Summer to walk in, maybe here in LA, say, walk into a restaurant, a club in 1979, 1980? How the waters just must have parted for you. You look back at that period and think, wow. Do you have fond memories of any of that kind of craziness that surrounded you?
Well, like I said, I had 3 bodyguards. I was, ushered in and out of everything I did. I had very little time for enjoyment. And when I did, I really needed to sleep, because it was like we were on one continual tour back then. And I wonder now how on earth it was that I ever got it done, how I ever did it. But yeah, I mean, when you go in a club and everybody makes room for you, or they prefer you and they give you preferential treatment, and it certainly doesn't hurt, but I don't require it as a human being, that someone does that, and I don't feel demeaned if they don't. I take it with a grain of salt, and I think I pretty much always have.
Yeah. Talk about the last 10, 20 years, what you found in family and children and all that, and and just what that means to you at this point in your life.
My family is everything. I mean, I had some very close calls in my life of near-death experiences and other things with other people. And I think that when you experience those things, you realize that life is fragile. And I just, I try to have fun. I try to prank my kids. I try to, do whatever it is that makes them have memories. I'm kind of a prankster. And I think that would, that's very important. Not to bad pranks, where it's, like that. What is that? Punking.
Right.
I mean, that's, that could get edgy there. I mean, I wouldn't want to punk somebody that, that might have a heart attack, or something. But I would, I just like to enjoy myself. I mean, life is short enough. And at this stage of the game, I'm in the business. I've decided to go back into the business for the moment anyway, and to pursue whatever that is that I have left in me to pursue, and to leave the legacy that will be left, and to have a good time.
Yeah. How much fun is it? How much fun are you having now? You work with Giorgio again. You have the new songs. Talk about what the next few years hold in store for you.
I don't know. I literally live day by day. I have the theory that, when you open one door, it sends a draft to the next door and that door opens. So I don't always know which door is going to open. I just know that a door will open. And I don't sort of procrastinate. I let the people around me do that job. And I actually very often won't even let them tell me what's coming, because I like to be in the space I'm in now, like Carlos Castaneda. And, I study the Bible, and I try to practice that as much as I can at all times. And I think that the balance of that now in my present career will make a big difference, hopefully for me, in how I deal with a lot of what goes on around me. And it has made me very much more conscious of my purpose and the legacy that I like to leave as a human being.
The love and support of your fans, that they've embraced everything you've done, and I'll be there for you now. What's that like as an artist at this point in your career, knowing you have this?
Invaluable, because I think, excuse me, an artist, having an artist mentality it's not a normal mentality. And I don't say that to make artists sound better or worse than people, but there's a certain mentality of people, a certain temperament that artists have. And you can be up here one day and be down there the next day. And it's really sometimes like a roller coaster ride. And it's not intentional. I think that when you create a lot, you burn off a lot of serotonin in your brain. And as a result of that, your body, you have mood swings. And it's sort of like someone eating a lot of sugar. And it's very similar. And so I think that having people that, your fans or fan base of people who really care about you, and who look beyond, the obvious to the hidden, and who are willing to dig in the obscure, then it makes you feel stabilized as a person. It makes you feel like, well, if I'm less than perfect, I know there's somebody out there who can accept that, who can handle that, and who will support me regardless. And I've had an amazing group of fans all my career, amazing. And I mean, honestly, they've almost become like my family. And so that is an amazing and wonderful thing. I don't mean to say amazing and amazing and amazing. You can cut that. But it is really a wonderful feeling,
How ready are you to be out there again performing? Do you have dates planned? Is that something that you are going to do?
Well, I probably will tour next year. Once I finish the book, we'll have a couple of different things to do. I do the book and that, and then we're going to go to Europe and do the book and that. So there's that whole thing. And then we will be picking up some dates here and there. I'll be doing, what is the thing in New York? KTU, is it?
WKTU.
WKTU at the, at where? At Madison Square Garden, but it's already sold out. And with Ricky Martin and Mark Anthony. And October 28th. And we will have, and I'll be doing a thing with Bette Midler on the 29th, I believe, in New York, Save the Streets of New York, or Save New York. What's the name of, anybody know the exact name of the charity? I'm not sure.
New York Renovation.
New York Renovation, that's it. And I'll be working, let me say this all over. I'll be working with Bette on New York Renovation in New York, on October 29th. And we'll be doing a banquet and a concert. And then I'll be going on the road again. And I'm moving to a new house.
You're a busy woman.
Yeah.
I'm reading some of the stuff here, and you mentioned Bette, and it kind of, I think of other women that have kind of taken a similar creative road as you, and people talk about you as the ultimate diva, and the queen of this, and goes, how much of that, do you find those labels funny, obviously, or do you like to...
Well, I don't think the word diva. I think if let's put it like this. I think of Maria Callas as the ultimate diva. And I think, because I really think with her, the word came into full play. I think with me, it's another story. I would like to think of myself as a diva with a heart, or the queen of hearts. I mean, somebody who really has a heart. And I don't take my divatum or my divaness, to the point of extravagance. I am only extravagant in what I do on stage, but not in how I am with other people. I try to be humble with other people and then to do the diva thing on stage and maintain my own personality at all times. In other words, not go to that other place,
Right.
which we can go to,
In terms of your talent, when people say that kind of thing, just in terms of the talent
Yeah.
that you've kind of, exuded over the years, what does that feel like? And people still recognize that you have one of the greatest voices ever in popular music and the songs
You're
you've
flushing me.
written.
Well, it's an honor. It's always an honor. I mean, that's nothing I take for granted. Like I said, I believe God gave me the talent. I give him the credit. I thank him for teaching me how to use it. And I can only say that if you're given a gift, you have to use it the way you're supposed to use it and not destroy it. So I work hard at not destroying the gift. And if I'm able to be singing when I'm in my 90s, I'll probably be singing in my 90s. So
Wow.
that's a blessing.
And you touched on this slightly, but just what do you hope your legacy is in terms of popular music, in terms of what you hope your career does for young women starting out? Do you think about that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think about it all the time, actually, because I have daughters. I'm always thinking about it. I hope that my life will be an example, good and bad. I mean, I hope that people can look at me and say, you know what, she did that, and I don't think I should do this. And I hope that my life will be a map for somebody else's life. And I hope the foundation that I built on, someone will not have to go tear it down, but they'll be able to build upon the foundation and keep going forward, and not make the same mistakes, but glean from what was done that was right, and that's it, and have a good life.
And lastly, we actually just spoke with your daughter, I believe, on the set of the...
Oh, you did? You spoke with Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So what's that like for you? Do you give them all your kids specific advice about
All
show
the time.
business, or...
All the time. And especially Brooklyn, because she's really has decided to pursue it. And, my children are blessed because they've been around show business. They've been around in the business with me since they were babies. They went on the road in buses and trucks, and, they've had, whatever you can have in life. It's, they pretty much had it. So they're not jaded. They're just, so they are jaded, and they don't take things, everything that people get excited about, it doesn't excite them. They're just not excited. They're not impressed with a lot of things. And they're impressed with integrity, and they're impressed with character and value, true value. And I think they know the difference. And I pray that when they come to Hollywood, and that while they're in Hollywood, again, because they were raised here partly, that they will not be impregnated with the falseness of Hollywood, but they will bring something unique and powerful back to Hollywood that is slowly leaving, and that is they're staying true to themselves, and being an example.
Well, you're a great role model.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well done.
You too. Thank you.
Tape is stopped.